So what is next for Jack Catterall? Well, what isn't next is any American fighter in the UK, because Bob Arum did that kind of thing that your granddad would do in Christmas where he's had too much wine, embarrasses the entire family and says a bunch of incoherent rubbish. But after that fantastic performance from Jack Catterall over on the weekend against Josh Taylor, where he essentially just continued from the last fight, absolutely dominated most of it. I had him winning by 3 or 4 rounds. Obviously, you have people online doing the mental gymnastics saying that Josh Taylor won, or it was a draw, or it was somehow a robbery, which is classic over-exaggeration from boxing fans on Twitter after they've seen a fight that didn't end in a knockout. So what are Jack Catterall's options after this fight? Well, one of the most obvious ones is you do the third fight with Josh Taylor. Now, why would you do that? Well, firstly, it makes the most money, and this is a sport about money. Fighters want to get paid. There's fighters that die regularly in the ring, which is horrific. Jack Catterall will want to get that life-changing money if he hasn't already. So a third fight with Josh Taylor, I would say out of all of them, I mean, he could fight obviously Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez. I'd probably say Josh Taylor probably makes the most money because it'd be a big fight in the UK again, another big arena. And obviously the promoters can play around with the narrative of, oh, it's 1-1, isn't it? You know, Josh Taylor won. Or did he? No, not really. Jack Catterall dominated him. But still, it's 1-1 technically, so it makes sense to do the third fight. And not that I would complain if they announced a third fight, because it was a great fight last time. They don't like each other, not on the level that Eddie Hearn exaggerates, where it's like, oh, this is the worst that he's ever seen. It's like, no, I think I'd leave that to Hay versus Bellew, or Hay versus Chisora, or Froch Groves, or DeGale versus Groves. I mean, there's so many better ones than this, but it was a decent rivalry. But in terms of Josh Taylor, I think it makes more sense for him, as opposed to Jack Catterall, who I think should just be going for world titles now. So speaking of world titles, which one can he actually fight for? Well, there are multiple champions in the super lightweight division. No bigger than Teofimo Lopez, who is actually fighting next month against Steve Claggett. Why? Why is he fighting him? Anyway, when that farce of a fight ends, that could be a potential option depending on how that fight ends. Maybe he'll be fighting Steve Claggett, who knows? Probably not, definitely not. You've obviously got Devin Haney, who's still got his belt, obviously, because Ryan Garcia weighed in overweight, and also he's probably going to get a no contest for that fight because Ryan Garcia was also on drugs. So, there we go. Probably one of the most unlikely fights that Jack Catterall can get is Isaac Cruz, who is the WBA champion, because he is fighting Jose Valenzuela, which isn't taking place for a few months, so that fight, if it could happen, won't be happening for quite a long time, so Jack Catterall will have to wait quite a bit. And finally, you have the IBF champion, Subriel Mateus, who's actually fighting next month against Liam Parrow. For me, the most likely fight for Jack Catterall as he takes on Teofimo Lopez. He said himself that he wants to go down the WBO route because he's been waiting famously for a very long time in the WBO rankings. He obviously took step-aside money for the Josh Taylor versus Jose Ramirez undisputed fight to take place, so he's been waiting a long time. He waited even before that as well, so it'd be nice for him to finally get a shot at the WBO. I think the unfortunate thing for Jack Catterall is he's in the Who Needs Me club. He's almost like the Leon Edwards of the UFC prior to him becoming champion. He's a very tricky fighter to beat, but he's also not very well known, won't sell fights, won't sell pay-per-views, so promoters would probably think twice before getting their champion to fight him. But there you go, let me know who you want Jack Catterall to face off in his next fight. Do you want to see the Josh Taylor fight again? Or like me, you want to see how well he does against these champions?